Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to ask you a question. Now, just yesterday, the great Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fring, and many other things, Moff Gideon, as some of you may know him, he has been rumored for years now to be in the conversation for playing Professor X. And we all know that the MCU / Kevin Feige / Marvel wants to take a different approach to the X-Men. And they want to do something very similar to what they did the Spider-Man, which is capture the essence, the heart of the character, while making adjustments and shifts and change, such as a younger Aunt May, an MJ whose name's not Mary Jane, a black MJ and an MJ who's not Mary Jane, giving him a best friend, making Flash Thompson a different type of bully, updating all of that. The fact that he's not broke, the fact that he's not working at the Daily Bugle or anything. Daily Bugle doesn't even exist yet. Hell, making the Daily Bugle a web journal, a news website that reports news, not an actual newspaper. They took all these things and adjusted it. Obviously, the big thing not being him dealing with his powers, but him dealing with the responsibility of being a superhero and being the superhero underneath Iron Man. They shifted. It was still about great power comes great responsibility. And that's the thing I think some people missed. I made plenty of videos talking about it. I'm not going to rant on it here. But one of the things that people missed about those Spider-Man movies was they still were about great power and great responsibility. They just shifted it from what it usually is, which usually when there's great power, it means his actual powers. But since we've seen that before, they shifted it to more like the responsibility of being a superhero, of being particular Spider-Man. They're going to do the same thing with the X-Men. It's still going to be the X-Men, but they're going to update it. They're going to do something different with it. And so the conversation came up yesterday because Giancarlo Esposito was asked about the Professor X thing again. And of course he says, which he's been saying for a while now, I'd love to play it. Also, he got asked a question because with Giancarlo Esposito being thought of to be cast as Professor X, obviously, that's different. Charles Xavier is usually a white guy. He's usually a white bald dude. Now, he started off as a New Yorker. Eventually, with Patrick Stewart, I can't remember if it was before or after Patrick Stewart, but sometime around, later, he became British. Professor X was not British. He wasn't British. He was from New York, dude. He didn't have no accent, but something happened along the way that made him British. So, obviously, there's room to change that up. The where Professor X is from isn't act as super consequential. It is, depending on the story you're reading, but it's not that consequential. He could be a black guy, and you could just shift things a little bit, and it would make a lot of sense. For most of the characters, it would make sense. It'd be fine if you changed their race. It really wouldn't make a difference. Other than, Storm and, Bishop, maybe, I wouldn't do it, but other than Storm, Bishop, and, Jubilee, other than them, really, they could be anything. I mean, there's probably some others I'm missing, but those are the ones that stick out of my mind. But I digress. So Charles Xavier, it feels like people are okay with the idea of there being a different race Charles Xavier. You know what I mean? Feels like people are okay. It feels like people can wrap their brains around that one. But it came up in the conversation with Giancarlo Esposito. I'll just say the whole thing. It just feels like saying the whole thing every time I say it. But it came up in the conversation of Denzel Washington playing Magneto. Because, so far, Magneto has been portrayed by nothing but great actors. Fassbender and Ian McKellen. I mean, two great actors who brought two different levels of acting and different levels of things to Magneto. And Fassbender played a young Magneto, and Ian McKellen played a fantastic older Magneto, and they all fit. It all made sense. It fit well. It felt right. Like I said, it felt good. Both of those performances were great. So how does Marvel top that? How does the MCU top that? But then we come to a problem, right? And obviously Denzel Washington is a fantastic actor. the idea of Denzel Washington coming into the MCU, it's just mind-blowing. Giancarlo Esposito, I almost think he's gonna be Professor X. I'm not even gonna lie to you. He's been around Disney. He's done too many Disney things. He's in The Mandalorian. He's just been around so long that at this point, I'm kind of just banking on him being maybe Professor X. He's gonna be in the MCU for sure. He's all but said that. We just don't know where. So Giancarlo Esposito, that's almost a guarantee. But the idea of getting someone of Denzel Washington's caliber to come into the MCU is tantalizing. It is. I ain't gonna lie. It's insane. It's like when they got fucking Christian Bale. Now, granted, they didn't do the most they could with Christian Bale, but when you hear they got Christian Bale, you're like, wow. So same thing here. I'm like, yo, they could get Denzel. That would be dope. Plus, Denzel played Malcolm X, and Magneto has for quite some time been very mirrored with Malcolm X's approach to civil rights, being more aggressive than Martin Luther King. So there's some very good little parallel there too between the roles. But the problem is, one of Magneto's origins, one of the most iconic comic book origins, one of the most well-known comic book origins, one of the best executed comic book origins, twice, they did it good twice, is his Holocaust survivor. The Magneto is a Jewish Holocaust survivor. You know, he went through a tragedy. It's the reason, that tragedy is the reason he thinks the way he thinks, he feels the way he feels about humanity. He's seen humanity at its worst. He's seen what men can do given the right incentive and given power over other men. He's seen the worst of men, and it's really informed his opinion on humanity and why he thinks the way he thinks, and why he's so aggressive, and why he's a fucking terrorist, basically, you know, fighting for mutant supremacy, because basically, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna let the Holocaust happen to another group of minorities. Fuck that. So that's like the Holocaust, being a Holocaust survivor and seeing the things he's seen and seeing his mother die and all these things, they are the things that really like makes him who he is and makes him like what he is deep down in his core. It's not, you know, there's comics where he heals from this, but for the most part, he never gets over that. So that has been a strong part of the Magneto character. It really has for forever, for a very long time. Now I know some people have pointed out online who are agreeing with me that hasn't technically always been a part of his character, but it's been a part of his character so long now that it is. You know what I mean? Now, the problem is, and I've seen a lot of conversation about this, the Holocaust was a long fucking time ago now. Like, I think I don't remember when the Holocaust ended and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure it was almost 80 years ago. It's at least 80, maybe 80, 100 years ago. No, it's not 100 years ago. But it's at least been about 80 years since the Holocaust. At least. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I don't really know. But I know it was during World War II, and the World War II was like 1930 something, I believe. So, like, that was a very long time ago. So long, in fact, that if Magneto was done in the current time... By the way, you got to understand, the MCU is accelerated, too. They're ahead of us. The MCU is in like 2026, some shit like that. So it's even further ahead. So you have to understand, Magneto would be a damn near 100-year-old man if they were to do his Holocaust origin. And there's been a lot of conversation about that. Oh, maybe they should. I've said, like, no, okay. I've started on whole Twitter arguments over this. Like, I started a Twitter argument. Every once in a while, I get bored and go on Twitter and say some shit, and the shit in the thread just keeps going and going. It's still going right now to this day. It's still fucking people adding to this thread. And I was just like, shit, I gotta talk about this. But, anywho, that shit is funny. But that thread keeps extending. But no, like that, and so many people, and the argument against changing Magneto's origin, which is what this conversation is really about, is that, oh, they want to make him, a part of his mutant powers be that he lives longer. Oh, maybe he's from another universe. Oh, maybe he time traveled. Like, there's just people bending over backwards to make this Holocaust / Jewish, you know, make him Jewish and surviving the Holocaust, trying to make that a thing. And you know what? I understand. Representation is great, which is so weird. Like, no one talks about it until like right now. But representation is great. It is important. It's why, you know, they cast a Jewish Ben Grimm. You know, they cast a Jewish thing because he's Jewish in the comics. I believe Oscar Isaac is Jewish. I believe. Yeah, Oscar Isaac is Jewish. He's Jewish in this. He's Jewish in Moon Knight. So it's not like Marvel hasn't cast Jewish actors. But, like, Magneto is very notorious for being that. But the problem is, they would have to really just, like, bend over backwards to make that work when they have a prime opportunity here. Personally, they have a prime opportunity to highlight another different tragedy. There has been other Holocaust-like tragedies or tragedies on the level of the Holocaust that could create someone like a Magneto, because Magneto isn't Magneto specifically because of the Holocaust. Magneto became Magneto because of the tragedy, because of the inhumanity of the Holocaust. It's not the Holocaust itself and him being Jewish that's like key to his character. It's the event. It's what the event made him feel. It's the helplessness. It's the being oppressed. It's seeing people murdered just because of who they are, not because of something they've done, not because of choices they made, just because of what they were, in that case, their religion and whatnot, and being prosecuted because of that, and being killed because of that. That's what fuels his fire to, hate humanity and lead the Brotherhood of evil mutants. Well, let's just say the Brotherhood. That's what fuels his fire. And you can replicate that in a different way. There have been tragedies and things that have happened throughout the course of history all over the world since the Holocaust that can absolutely recapture the idea of that. For instance, I know some people have already talked about it, but if you made Magneto a black man from America who grew up in the 50s or 60s or some shit like that, who grew up in a time period in a time period of great racism, and he's seeing his freaking family get hung on fucking ropes and beat to death, and you see an Emmett Till like shit. I could see a man like that having the same type of mentality as a Magneto. I could see a man from a different country who's in a foreign nation. Some warlord took over the town, is oppressing them and is enslaving them. I can see a man like that having the same fire in his belly and the same opinion of humanity that the Magneto from the comics has. There's just so many more options. And also, Marvel can highlight a new tragedy, a tragedy no one's even heard of. I just think that there's an opportunity here with Magneto, particularly Magneto and his origin, to do something special. I love what they did with Namor. They changed it up. They did something special, making the Aztec backdrop to it, the Mayan stuff. It made it so, it's so different than Namor that I know in the comics, but it's so fucking cool, and it's so, I'm like, damn, now I kind of like that. Like the Aztecian aspect of Namor being in the comics. I kind of want that now. And there's something they could do here. It does not erase what Magneto was in other venues and other things, but the MCU is about doing different shit. They're about, if they just give you the same Magneto, it won't be different. It will be just the same Magneto. We've already seen the Holocaust survivor Magneto done. In my opinion, this is how I always am about comic book adaptations. This is how I always am. I want to see it done accurately the first time. Maybe even the second time. But after that, get buck wild with it. As long as it's not completely against what the character is, like I'm telling Seth, Batman ain't running around with a gun shooting people. Superman's not fucking, wearing all black and stabbing motherfuckers in the face. You know what I mean? Spider-Man's not, snapping necks. As long as that ain't something super egregious, go wild. Because I've already gotten my accurate version. We've already gotten our comic book accurate version of Magneto twice. So the MCU taking a swing and taking a different approach and a different swing, and maybe even getting someone like a fucking Denzel Washington level actor to come in and portray Magneto and give it gravitas and give it weight. And, because the Holocaust is something that's so, it happened so long ago. That's another thing about the Holocaust too, is it happened so long ago, and as an American, it was all the way over there. It was all the way in fucking Germany, it was all the way over there. So, what we know about the Holocaust is what we read and whatnot. And even then, that stuff, it's happened so long ago that the impact of it has kind of over the years. So, I'm not even sure if it would... Now, granted, there's an argument to be made that making it his origin, keeping it as his origin could actually, not reinvigorate, but like give people more, put it back into people's consciousness what happened. But there's also an opportunity to really push things forward, to acknowledge other tragedies that have happened since the Holocaust. Because at the end of the day, Magneto's whole thing and what makes him isn't so much the Holocaust, so much as what it made him feel, the tragedy of it, the inhumanity of it, and there are plenty of things we can go to get that across. But anyways, thank you guys for joining the Congress Move Show. Please comment below. Do you think Magneto's Holocaust origin has to stay the same? Does it have to stay the same, or is there room to change it? Anyways, thank you guys again. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.